Hey guys, Happy Conscious Gal here. I wanted to do a second vlog today because there's something else that's been coming up for me. I love the fact that with these vlogs, when something big comes up or you have a realization or an insight, you can just sit in front of your computer and vlog it right then and there before you forget. So some days I do no vlogs, some days I might do 2 or 3 vlogs. But what I wanted to talk about was something amazing that I realized today, which I went out and told my partner, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this on this protocol, but because you're losing weight so fast, it's like you're watching your body just shrink. I mean, my body shape has just shrunk really since day one. I mean, I've gone from, after the loading, the 2 days of loading, I was 80 kilos, which is 176.4. Today I'm 73.7 kilos on day 11. That's a lot. That's a lot to have lost in 11 days. If you think about normal weight loss that you've done before and other protocols and other diets and low-carb diets or low-fat diets or whatever diets, we've all done millions of them. Normally I might lose half a kilo a week, which is 1 pound a week. So now I'm losing that a day. So I think something no one's really talking about is how that affects us psychologically to be shrinking at such a rate, and how can our self-image keep up with it, because it's been really fascinating for me to it's really exciting each day to measure myself and weigh myself and see that my clothes are getting baggier, but it's also bringing a lot of stuff up for me because it's almost like I'm having flashbacks of where I was in my life the last time I was at this weight. Because I've been tracking my weight, since I was a teenager, really. I've been overweight since I was 7 or 8 years old, and I've been dieting since I was 12, and up and down, up and down, up and down, yo-yo, and I've been recording my weight probably since I was 15 or 16, and graphs, and and measuring myself since then as well. So I have a pretty strong awareness of where I was at in my life when I was 80 kilos, when I was at in my life when I was 65 kilos, where I was at in my life when I was 70 kilos. You can think about that in pounds if you're from the Northern Hemisphere, but it's really weird because I'm looking at myself in the mirror every couple of days and realizing that I've seen this person before. I've seen this person before. When did I see this person before? Well, gosh, I think I saw this person 2 years ago when I was leaving for New Zealand. I think I was at this weight, and then I look back and I think, yeah, I was at this weight then. How did I feel about myself then? Well, I felt like I was really hideous and fat. Whereas now, I don't feel like that. I look at myself in the mirror and I think I look gorgeous. Yeah, there's weight that could be lost, there's fat that could be liberated, but I've come to such a point of journeying in my life, in my self-development, that I now love myself. I've been at my heaviest weight, before I started HCG, and I loved myself. I was dressing nicely, I felt sexy, I had a wonderful boyfriend who I love. But when I last was at some of these weights, I didn't love myself. And I looked at exactly what I'm looking at now, and I was horrified with it, whereas now I'm looking at it and I'm excited. So it's funny, and then the next 2 days will pass and I'll look in the mirror again and I go, I've seen this person before. When did I last see this person? And I'm sure that all of you, as you're going down, will remember when you were last at that weight and what was happening in your life when you were last at that weight. When I get down to, much lower in a few more weeks, or, when I do round 2 or whatever, I'll be like, in my 20s, I was quite skinny there for a while. I never lost all my abnormal fat, though. I always had fat on my arms, I always had fat on my stomach, but the rest of me was very skinny. And even my abnormal fat had shrunk quite a lot compared to now, but I was never I always had extra fat, even when I was at my thinnest. But the point is, when I start to get down to those weights again, it's going to be really interesting to see the flashbacks of how I felt the last time I looked like this, how I felt about myself, how I felt about my health, where I was at in my life. So, I started to go from 80 kilos down to 75, down to 73, When I get to 72, I remember clearly being at 72 a few years ago and thinking I was so overweight I had to start an urgent diet. And I remember you know, a few years earlier when I was like 68 kilos or something, and trying to win this man's love, who I just wanted him to love me, and I'd been to the gym 6 times a week, and I'd been on a really strict diet for many, many months, and I'd lost like 5 kilos, which is, you know, 12 pounds. And, you know, I was looking good, and he still didn't love me, even though I looked good, and I hated myself, and I still thought I looked fat. I was 68 kilos. I still thought I was fat. And, you know, and then as I get down lower, and I start to get down to 66, 65 kilos, then I'll probably start to remember what it was like in my 20s when I was studying my Masters of Law. I studied International Law at Oxford University, and I was quite slim then. Of course, I still had fat here and fat here, but generally I was quite slim then. It's the last time I was 65 kilos. But back then, I didn't have the relationship with my body that I have now. I was suffering from chronic pain, severe back pain. I was very much unable to walk a lot of the time. I was living on painkillers and baths and lying in bed a lot. And even though I was slim then, my body was very stiff, and I moved like an old woman, and I felt like an old woman. Whereas now, when I hit 65 kilos 10 years later or 12 years later, I've done so much work over the last decade to heal my body from chronic pain. I spent many years studying the Feldenkrais method. I'll talk to you guys about that another time. Completely freed my body from pain, stopped being a stiff old woman, became this sort of slinky dolphin kind of cat creature. And so now getting down to that weight again, I think I'm going to feel very different than I did last time I was there. So it's kind of like you've gone up and up a spiral of weight, and now we're getting the opportunity, each of us, to go back down that same spiral of weight and notice how different the world looks now from this point. How different it looks compared to last time. You know, and I'm really excited about that, because for me, this HCG journey is just as much of a spiritual journey or a healing journey as it is a physical body fat release journey or a weight loss journey. And I think that each time I stop at a point back down on that spiral of weight, and really stare face to face with that person and go, hang on a sec, I've seen you before. Now, maybe the distribution of fat is different, because on HCG we're losing weight from different places. But still, I've seen someone at this weight before with my face. Maybe a slightly different shape, but I've seen you before, this person at this weight. How do I feel about myself now compared to them? And that's a really wonderful opportunity for me to see how far I've come in my life, in my awareness, in my growth, in my self-love. As I'm comparing, I'm actually in a much better place in my life now. So anyway, I just thought that was fascinating. I wanted to share it with you guys because, you know, some of you might find it really fascinating to do this little game as well. As you meet yourself at each weight, remember what it was like when you were last that weight. Now, some of you may never have been this weight before, so that's going to be different for you. But if you're finding that even for part of the journey, you're sort of reacquainting yourself with weights you've been at before, just take the time to really compare how you felt about yourself, where you were at in your life, what you'd learned, what you knew about yourself, your level of consciousness, your level of awareness, your level of self-love, and just take a moment to congratulate yourself on how far you've come. Because that's what I'm doing today. I'm feeling really excited. I'm congratulating myself, and it's a really beautiful extra bonus that I didn't expect to get on this HCG protocol. And if any feelings come up of sadness or grief, which they might, then I'm going to do some processes to clear those. As I'm looking at my old self and remembering what it was like the last time I was at that weight, I might get sad. It's quite possible. But if I do, I'll make sure to feel those feelings, to breathe through them, to clear them, and to come back to a state of gratitude. Because for me, keeping myself calm in a state of gratitude is the #1 key to living happily, and also for this HCG diet to work properly. Because if I'm stressed and angry, then I don't think my body's going to function as well. I don't think I'm going to lose as much weight. So for me, it's all about staying calm and happy in a state of gratitude. So anyway, that's my blog for the day. Hopefully that was interesting for some of you, and let me know in the comments how you felt as you've gone back down the spiral and seen yourself at these same weights. Just let me know what it was like for you. Was it traumatic, or has it been affirming or exciting? I'm really curious to hear. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Bye.